While I'm stood here in fresh January snows of northern Italy, what ultimately drew me to Overtures was this: Boris Pasternak's literary classic Dr. Zhivago, or more specifically Sir David Lean's 1965 adaptation of the same story. Because the film starts like this. So, what is an overture? Why am I here? And should they make a return? The word overture stems from the French ouverture, meaning opening, and in 17th century France, its musical form was used as an introductory piece for opera and ballet.
But later, in that same century, the idea spread across Europe, and a new, more dominant form took over from the French style, originating in Italy.
Continual change was made to the operatic overture in the 18th and 19th centuries, in Italy and the rest of Europe, but the next major revolution took place in the 20th century with its use in a whole new art form: cinema.
The movie overture, writes Adrien Bernard, is music set against a blank screen, or still images, before the drama unfolds. Versions of this are seen prominently in Sir David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, and Ryan's Daughter, but also in other classic works of the time. Like their historical counterparts, and typically used with a roadshow theatrical release, these overtures gave moviegoers the time to find their seats, but, as Bernard points out, also served an important cinematic function. They allowed audiences a chance to put aside their thoughts of the outside world.
Be drawn into the experience, a bridge between real life and the story.
Artistically and commercially, the Overture was a great success. Over 100 different films produced over 44 years made use of the Overture. 2001, The Space Odyssey, Far from the Madding Crowd, and North by Northwest, to name a few. But this was not to last.
All but disappearing from cinema in the 1970s, the overture was supplanted by the new blockbuster style put forward by studios, the use of trailers and adverts, and a fundamental change in the way we consume entertainment. Given no option but to sit and wait, audiences grow restless.
However, in recent years, the Overture has seen a small resurgence. 2023's The Zone of Interest and Brady Corbett's The Brutalist see a return to form for the Overture, among its use in other modern works. They directly mirror the style of the mid-century classics, with lengthy musical pieces accompanying simple title cards as preludes to each film. But in contrast, Damien Chazelle's Whiplash uses an overture in an entirely unique way. Accompanying energetic shots of New York City at night, Justin Hurwitz's track Overture helps establish the environment the film takes place in, not just its atmosphere. Each film's respective critical and artistic success helps establish a different kind of modern cinematic experience. One not for a mass market, but for those dedicated to immersion and exploration of the history and context of cinema. A tribute to the films before. But this whole concept forces a re-evaluation of what the cinema experience will be like in the coming decades. But why have it stop at cinema? Modern storytelling platforms are largely driven by attention-based metrics, prioritizing trends and AI-produced content over the depth and substance of individual works. But I don't think this is all they're good for. What was for France in the 17th century, and what was for cinema in the 20th, wasn't that way forever. The idea of the overture evolved over time, and that allowed the art to survive in our ever-changing cultural landscape.
In the same way the Italian form revitalised and developed the overture at the end of the 17th century, a modern interpretation must do the same. I see new opportunities for the overture, traditional or reimagined, even if they're made alone in the January snows of northern Italy.